Well, hey everybody, I'm Nathaniel Dodson from tutvid.com, and today in this Adobe Premiere Pro tutorial, I'm super pumped about it because we're going to talk about proxies. That might not sound like anything important to you, but it maybe is the single best way to make your editing workflow in Premiere Pro so much faster and so much less stressful. The way it works is you take your huge high-resolution files, like 4K files, you make them really tiny, or you let Premiere Pro make them really tiny. You edit all those little tiny files together so Premiere can move really quickly, and then when you're ready to export, boom! Premiere Pro swaps in the high resolution stuff so your system is never bogged down. It's light, it's fast, it's easy, it is incredible and amazing and wonderful. If you do enjoy this tutorial, well, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can check out all the Premiere Pro tutorials that have come before. Of course, you see this one, and you'll never miss any Premiere Pro or video editing or After Effects tutorial, or you stinking name it, in the future. Let's jump into Premiere Pro right now and check this thing out. So, well, actually, I said Premiere Pro, but let's hop into Photoshop for a quick second and talk about how this process actually works. So it begins with your media card, with your full high-resolution file. Maybe you shot in like 4K because you want to future-proof a project, but you only need to deliver in 1080p, and you're working on an old computer, so it's really slow. Well, what this process is going to do here is allow us to import these files through Premiere Pro, and Premiere Pro will split, well, not really split the file, but it will take and it will save the high resolution, or a copy of the file, a high resolution copy right off the camera. Like if it's 4K, this will be a 4K video clip being saved to the hard drive, but it will also save a proxy file, a very low resolution, highly compressed file of the same exact clip onto a different place on that same hard drive, or maybe just a totally different hard drive. This can be great if you want to edit on the go and you want to throw these low-resolution files onto like a little external hard drive and take off on, bring it on your flight or take it on the road or whatever. And then the beautiful thing about this here is when you connect these back into Premiere Pro knows they're connected together. So it knows that when you're working on these low-resolution files, they're all connected to these high-resolution files. And that's kind of important because, well, number one, you can disconnect the high-resolution files and your proxies will still be there in Premiere Pro, so you'll still be able to edit even if you aren't like linked or have that hard drive plugged into your system that has those high resolution, master copies. You can edit your film in Premiere Pro as you always would, and then when you go ahead and export your video from Premiere Pro to full 4K, UHD, or even if you're just going for some crazy raw video, when you export from Premiere Pro, it will automatically swap in those higher quality clips and you will be good to go. Of course, those clips need to be online, and what that means is that hard drive that contains those high resolution clips will need to be plugged into your computer so Premiere Pro can find those high quality clips. So super duper amazing and useful workflow, and it's so easy to do here. So we're going to jump into Premiere and I'm going to show you how this works. Now, out here on my Finder, I have what would be my camera's SD card, and on here I have 4 4K shots. I have a folder for high-resolution clips and a folder for proxies. We're going to cover 3 different ways to create proxies here in Premiere Pro, and I think you're going to like all of them. So the first way is simply to import the footage right into Premiere. So I'll grab all these clips here, and I will just drag them and drop them here into my project bin. And once they're over here in my project bin, I can just drag them out here onto my timeline. I've got this timeline here called proxy, the sequence, I should say, and there all 4 of my clips are, and they're all 4K. If I zoom in here, I say set this to 100%, and also over here set my preview quality to full, so I can really get an idea of what's going on with these videos. In fact, you can hit the wrench and choose paused resolution, make sure that's full, and also full for the playback resolution. Great. So I'm seeing my video here. Well, let's say this 4K stuff is just really bogging the system down. It's not working for us. So I'm only going to do this to 1 clip here, but you would do it with all of your clips. We're going to select this jib shot clip, which is the first clip in our sequence. We're going to right click on it and we're going to choose proxy. And here we have this option to, you named it, create proxies. Now here what we can do is choose a format. I'm going to go with H.264, super compressed, really works well. I'm going to go with just 720p. Generally what you want to do if you're choosing a preset and you've got tons of options or more than just 1, 2, or 3 options, you want to just make sure that the aspect ratio is proper. If you're shooting like, I think it's called DCI 4K footage, which is like 4096 pixels by 2160 instead of like the 3940 by 2160, that's a slightly different aspect ratio. And if you create a proxy, you know, at like 720p with footage that's a little bit wider in terms of the aspect ratio, it's going to either be a little stretched or have some black bars, and that gets added in there. So, you know, just be wary of that, and you may need to work with this adding an ingest preset. We're going to talk about that later. I don't want to get bogged down with that now. For this, I'm going to go 720p, H.264, and then the destination. You can choose to plop it right next to the original media in a proxy folder, which Premiere will create a new folder, or you can choose to save it where you want to save it. Now, considering the fact that this video that I'm importing is on the camera SD card, I actually want to choose my own location, and I would browse, and I'm right out here where I would choose my proxies folder. So, yep, select that folder. That's where I want my proxies to be saved. Now I'm going to hit OK. When I do this, you can see it's going to say creating proxy jobs, and what's happening behind the scenes is this application called Adobe Media Encoder is getting ready to fire up. This is where that file is going to be processed here in a moment. You can see there it is. It's come in. We see the status happening over here. Now, over here in Premiere Pro, we have this new window under Window Progress. This is newer to Premiere Pro, and we can see the progress of that clip. If we had selected all 4 clips and made proxies for all 4 video clips, well, we would see 4 separate files showing up here, and it would just go through one file at a time. Now, even while this is happening, we could come in here and start editing our video, and everything would be great. It'd be wonderful. And when we're ready to swap this video clip with the proxy, we could do it seamlessly and not have to worry about losing our cuts, losing transitions, losing anything like that. So the progress is done. It's completed. Now, how do I know, like, is this the proxy file or is this still the full 4K file? Well, this is still the full 4K file. We can swap between proxies by using a little trick over here. So you got this button editor, you hit the plus, we're going to add buttons, and there's a button right down here called Toggle Proxies. So let's click and drag that and just add it to our toolbar of little icons here. And when we have a clip selected or highlighted, like the jib shot clip here, all we need to do is say, hey, look, toggle with my proxy. And by the way, I know that there's a proxy for this clip by right-clicking on the clip and choosing Properties, and I can see right there, Proxy Media, right? So I know I've got a proxy here, whereas if I come over here to the second clip where I didn't create a proxy and go to Properties, I don't have all that proxy information. So what I can do, I can just select this clip and I can choose to swap in the proxy clip, and you can see the quality got quite degraded. I don't know if it's coming through on the video, but it went from being a nice, sharp video clip to pretty bad. And the interesting thing about this is let's just make a couple cuts here on our video, right? And then I'm just going to ripple delete that. So now we have 2 video clips. I could select these video clips. I could toggle the proxies. And now just like that, we have the high resolution footage in there. So even if you have cuts and stuff like that made with a clip, you can quickly swap in or swap out the proxies to make it faster to work with this very high resolution video footage. Now I know we are pounding a ton of information right now, but this stuff is so important, and this is just the first way. I do want to show you here too, under Premiere Pro Preferences, we can come down here to Media, and we can choose to turn on Enable Proxies. So if you're having some issues with proxies, just come in here and make sure you have that enabled, and that'll be a nice helpful thing for you to have there. I'm going to undo to get rid of those cuts and that ripple delete that I just did before. I want to, in fact, I'm going to delete all 4 of these clips, and I'm going to delete them all from my project bin as well, because I want to show you a different way to import video and create proxies, and it's using the media browser. I'm actually going to drag this over here on top of my sequence just so I can really see what's going on here. So this little area right here, this is like a little breakdown of our computer hard drive. I'm going to bring my project bin back over here so we can see my files. These are the files in this Premiere project over here. This is the stuff on our hard drive outside of the project, and what I've done is I have navigated here to the folder on my desktop, Premiere Tutorial, and then the camera SD card clip. Now, a cool thing is, if we get onto the proxy folder, there is that proxy resized video clip that we created before. So I'm actually going to jump out to my Finder, and I'm just going to delete that real quick just to knock it out of there and get it out of our way. There it is, and I can just delete that. Bam, gone. You can see it disappears here in Premiere as well, because this is just mirroring what's on our hard drive. All right, camera SD clip. I can select all of these video clips. I can choose this little ingest option, turn that on, and then hit the little wrench to, you can see, open the ingest settings. This is such cool stuff. We have this little drop-down menu where we can choose to just copy the footage in, but really what I'm most interested in is both copying the footage in and creating the proxies. So remember, we're copying the footage from the SD card or just the media on which you're shooting your movie or your video or whatever. You're copying it to your hard drive or a hard drive, and you're also creating a second copy, which is this low-res proxy file. So we have these 2 options, the primary destination and the proxy destination. And if we jump back to Photoshop for a second, up here, this would be our primary destination, right? This would be the high-res copy that's being saved, and then the proxy destination is where we're saving the low-res copy, all right? So that's kind of important to note. Now, you could save them both on the same hard drive, but you know, I tend to prefer saving my stuff around on as many different hard drives as I can. It's just the way I like to work. All right, so from the preset dropdown, I'm once more going to go with a 720p H.264. That's great. Primary destination, I'm going to choose the location, and I'm going to make the location here within the Premiere tutorial the high-res clips. So this would be like the project folder where I'm saving the master high-resolution clips for that video or movie project that I'm working on, right? And then the proxy destination, this would be more of like an editing destination. Maybe this would be a network drive where a bunch of editors are having access to these proxy clips to make the edits and work together on it. So there's my proxy folder. I'm going to choose that. And then I would hit OK. All we have to do at this point is right-click on these clips, or we could honestly just drag them right to the project, but we'll right-click and just choose to import them. And now these ingest settings will be applied to all 4 of these clips as they import. And it looks like nothing's happening right away. But if we open up the progress panel here, give it a second. That's the clip that we created a proxy of before. You just got to give it a minute. It's got to chug through these big 4K files, but these files will populate here into Adobe Media Encoder, and we'll get the progress updates here in Premiere as well. So you can see here the jobs are showing up, and if I pop back out to Premiere Pro, they're getting ready to go here. That all looks great. Now, the great thing about this particular workflow is it's automatically now going to be creating proxy files for all the videos that I'm importing into my Premiere Pro project. But with the high-res files here, ignore the one that appears to be offline. It's probably just because Media Encoder is cranking through it. With these high-res files, I can begin dragging them in and editing these. And then when the proxies are ready and I can, I'm ready to swap the proxies, I've got that little toggle proxies button, so I can just drop the lower resolution clips in there. So I have a nice editable timeline that I can move through very quickly, and it's just really a great thing to work with, especially as your project begins to kind of bloat and balloon and you're color grading and adding effects and blurring and zooming or transitions or any number of things that you may be doing to your video project. And there you go. You can see Adobe Media Encoder has finished the processing. It wasn't too bad. It plowed through. We've got our video clips here, and they're all ready. If I select the Staten Island Ferry, I right-click, I choose Properties, and you're going to see here, yep, we got Proxy Media. Great. So we have our proxies for all 4 of these 4K clips, and we're ready to work even if we have a slower computer. We can just begin to work with the proxies. And like I said, when you export your file, Adobe Premiere Pro will automatically go and say, well, you obviously want the high-res files, we can swap them out. All right, so let's talk about the third way to import and create proxies, and this might be the coolest one yet because we're going to create our own preset here in Adobe Media Encoder. I'm going to select these clips here. I'm just going to delete them. Yep, I want to get rid of all that stuff. I want to clean this thing out. And what I want to do is come over here to the preset browser, wherever that is in your particular workspace in the Media Encoder. Go ahead and hit the drop-down, and we have 2 types of presets. We're actually going to create one of each, but we're going to begin with our encoding preset. I'm going to select that, and the first thing I'll do is I'll give it a name. So we'll just call this, H.2 or H.264. We'll say UHD 4K, just so we know that we got the aspect ratio. Or maybe we'll stick with UHD because that way it's not confused with the DCI 4K footage. And then we'll specify that this is like 360p. So we'll make this a very, very small video file. And what we'll do is we'll come down here to video. I don't want to match the source for this. I want to make the height 360 because that's going to be the 360p. The width ends up being 640. That's perfect. We'll scroll down a little bit further. The bitrate of VBR 1 pass is great, but I want to reduce the target bitrate to like 1. I want the quality to be super, super low. I want these conversions to happen quickly, and I want the resulting file to be small. That means it's going to be kind of low quality, yes, but it will be fast, it will be lightweight, and that's exactly what I want. When I'm ready to plop in the big 4K full res footage, I can do that. But when I want to edit and move fast, I'll be able to do that here. I also want to come over here to the effects tab. This is some cool stuff. You could apply a lookup table if you're working with like log footage or really flat footage. You want to apply a specific LUT. I don't want to do that here. I want to, oh, by the way, you could also overlay an image, which could be like your watermark if you want to do something like that. This would only happen, obviously, this is a preset for the proxy files, so that might be interesting if you are exporting rough cuts that you're sending to a client. I'm going to go with a name overlay. This is pretty cool. And what we'll do is we'll take the source file name, and I'm going to give it a suffix of underscore, and then in all caps, I'm going to take type proxy, and I want the position. I like to go either bottom center or like bottom right. In this case, I'll go bottom center. We'll keep this easy. You can choose an offset and a size. A size of 15 is a bit big. Maybe we'll knock it down to like 12, but that's about good. The opacity, maybe we can bump it up just a notch, pull it up to 50. And then sometimes it's also helpful to have a time code overlay as well, so we can throw that in there. This way we probably make like top center if we got the other one at bottom center, and we made the other one a size of 12, so let's make this one a size of 12 with an opacity of 50. I think that's all the changes we want to make here. But there's a lot of stuff you can come in here and check out. But we're just looking to have a good, solid way of identifying these proxy files, and this is the best way that I've seen it done so far. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And just as a quick preview, if you want to see exactly what this preset looks like, let's pop back out to our Finder, and let's drag, not a proxy, and let's drag one of our high-res clips in. Let's grab like one of these. I'm just going to drop it in the queue. You're going to see it's going to bounce around and, give me this little, rigmarole. But we have our file in there, and we can just drag that preset over. We can drop it right on the file, and then when we click on the preset, that we get a preview, and you can see here's the file name, and it's far too large. So that's good that I did this because I've got this massive file name, so I probably should make this size a little bit smaller. So the advantage here is that with this text overlay, we'll be able to tell when we're working with the proxy and when not in Adobe Premiere Pro very easily. Let's right-click here on our preset and choose Preset Settings. And what we'll do is we'll come down here in Effects. We will go to Name Overlay, and we'll change the size to like 6. We'll do something like that, and then we'll do a time code of maybe like 9. We'll still make the time code a little bigger. We'll hit OK, and now let's click on this and just see what this looks like. So there we go, jib shot over abandoned, blah, 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 underscore proxy. Boom, no doubt in our mind. We can go ahead and hit OK, and at this point, we could export this file, but that's not it. I want to remove my video clip here. Yep, we go ahead and remove it. That's fine. Let's go ahead and create an ingest preset. So I'm going to drop down here and choose Create Ingest Preset, and you'll see we've got this similar looking, but not quite the same ingestion, and we can call this whatever we want. So again, I'm going to go H.264 UHD, UHD 360p. And then we could even say like titles, right? Just something that gives us information. Sometimes people would say burn in. And down here, we'll choose to copy the files to destination. We can verify with the MD5 comparison. We'll also transcode the files to destination. And here's where we'll choose the format of H.264. And there's our preset that we just made, H.264 UHD 360p. That's great. And the last thing we need to do here is browse for a location on our hard drive where we'll save the high-resolution files. So I'm going to jump into my Finder. And from here, I'll choose High-Res Clips. This is where I'm going to be saving. I'm going to change this, honestly, on every ingestion because, like you saw before, we manually choose where we save the high-res file, and then the same for down here, the transcoded or proxy file. We'll go ahead and choose the proxy folder, but this will probably change with every project you work on. That's fine. We'll go ahead and hit OK here, and you can see now we have this ingest preset. And we can tell that it's an ingest preset because here in the format column, well, right there, we can see ingest. Now we want to save this out to our desktop or somewhere, so we're going to export this preset, and that'll be the icon with the folder with the arrow on the far right. Go ahead and click on that, and I'm just going to navigate to my desktop, and we'll save this. We'll just save it as H.264 UHD 360 titles. I'm going to choose save. You can really, put it wherever you want. Put it somewhere safe on your hard drive, though. Then what we would do is come back here to Premiere Pro, and we would jump back to our media browser. I've already deleted those video clips and the old proxies and all that stuff, and we would tick on ingest. We would go to our ingest settings here, and here we would choose Add Ingest Preset. So we go Add Ingest Preset. I would pop out to my hard drive, and right there we can see our .epr file. I'm going to choose to open that. You can see H.264 UHD 360p titles, and then here again I'm just going to choose where the location is. We did set these, but let's just place the high-res clips where we want the high-res clips, and let if this was a new project, we would be placing it where we in our high-res folder or our proxy folder as we need. And there we go, and I could hit OK, and then we can just right-click on these bad boys, import them, and Premiere Pro and Adobe Media Encoder are going to go through all that rigmarole that we just went through 10, 12 minutes ago when we talked about ingesting the media through Media Browser as well, but now we're doing it with our own custom ingest preset that's going to overlay all that information, and you're going to see just how helpful this is going to be when we're working to make it just blatantly clear. No need to scale to 100% or work with full quality. We're going to be able to tell that absolutely we are working with the proxy. So here's the progress folder. We've got one file that showed up and begun working, and over here in Adobe Media Encoder we'll probably start to see some files showing up as well. And there we go. All of the files are created. All the proxies are created. Cool thing about this here, if I drag all these files out and just drop them on my timeline, right? I can begin to cycle through. I'm going to just fit these, and I am going to set them to half or maybe even quarter quality. We can see we've got our clips here. There's the wedding clip. We've got our Lake Tahoe clip, our Staten Island clip, and our jib shot clip that aren't previewing for us very well because my computer right now is bogged down. So let's go ahead and just begin swapping in the proxy clips. So let's do it for the wedding shot here. You can see that, yeah, the quality has definitely degraded quite a bit. But very clearly, we can see it's a proxy, shot because it's that low quality and all of the overlays. You can really do it with all of these. So let's just select all these clips, and we'll choose to toggle the proxies here. But yeah, we've got the proxy there. We've got the Staten Island proxy, and we've got the jib shot over the abandoned home proxy as well. And we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is the proxy because we have all of this overlay. It's just such a beautiful thing. It really, really is. And when you're ready to export, like I said, Premiere Pro will automatically swap in the high resolution, good stuff. But you'll be able to work with the lightweight files very, very easily in Premiere Pro. So I know it's been like a 20-minute or so kind of masterclass on these proxies, but I really want to take a deep dive into it because, I mean, I find this stuff really interesting. I think it's super cool. In fact, let me go back to the computer screen for another second. Let's do a little real comparison here. Let's look at the clips right on the camera card. I'm going to check this out. We got 165, 171, 168, 129 megabytes, and let's compare it to the proxies. So I can just click right here, double click to get into the proxies, and we'll view this. And you can see here, 2.1 megabytes, 2.2 megabytes, 2 megabytes, a meg and a half. These files are tiny, especially compared with that original file size. So you can see how working with these proxies, it's just going to be so much faster. It's so much easier on your computer, so much lighter weight, the whole thing. And as your projects grow and balloon and expand, and like I said before, blurring and color grading, transitions, and 100 other different things that you can be doing, titles and lower thirds and all that stuff. As your project begins to kind of, swell up, this helps keep things lightweight and moving fast, which is exactly what we want. So for working with proxies and just working and editing faster in Adobe Premiere Pro, guys, that's it. Get it, got it, good. Nathaniel Dodson, tutvid.com. I'll catch you in the next one. And before you go, make sure you subscribe to my channel for more great tutorials every day. Also, buy my course. It helps us do what we do, and this channel is supported by viewers just like you. You can also just click the thumbnail and watch another video from this channel. See you next time, guys.